Hello there once again, it's your old pal Locke the Bounty Hunter, and on today's very special episode, I've actually come across a couple of videos on TikTok that were considered a little bit too long for my normal format, but I couldn't just pass them up because they are just some fascinating pieces of cringe that I just had to go ahead and get them online for you guys to witness. This is truly some special stuff, so let's not waste any more time and dive right in, shall we?
Why can a woman say, I don't like short guys, but a man can't say, I don't like fat girls? Hi, I'm Manny Schaefer, and I'm going to explain this double standard to you.
There's no need to explain the double standard, sister. We already know why it exists. Because you are an empowered victim, whereas all men are just evil, oafish oppressors. That pretty much sums it up in a nutshell.
Far more socially acceptable for a woman to say, oh, I don't date fat guys, I don't date short guys, I don't date poor guys, and no one blinks an eye. However, if a man says like, oh, I don't date white girls, I don't date fat girls, I don't date this type of girl, he gets crucified. I'm gonna try to explain to you why this is okay.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Why you should stop getting upset about this double standard and just learn to understand why it exists.
Okay, for starters, nobody's really upset at the double standard. If anything, we're just unsurprised. Second, we know the double standard exists. We know why it exists, but that's not going to stop us from laughing at your word salad. So please, do not deny us some comedy, woman.
First, let's take a step back and understand what double standards we should actually be upset about. Double standards should make you upset when the groups that you're comparing are homogeneous. Off the bat, we already
Homogeneous.
That's racist!
Lady, the correct term is homogeneous. I barely passed science class and I know this.
You know that the two groups that we're comparing are non-homogeneous groups. Women and men are different. So
you don't say.
that means there's probably reasons why that they get different reactions. For this specific example, we're talking about men and women talking about their interests in dating and picking a partner. Well, number one, we know that the feminine, the women, is usually the ultimate selector when it comes to mating.
Yes, women are the ultimate selector when it comes to porking. You never shut up about it. In fact, all you do is make fun of men for not getting any while you brag about how you get it on with Chad, Tyrone, Raphael, Takeda, Chang, Wang, and Chet all the friggin' time. It is not a flex that you choose who you let into the bedroom.
It's men who are approaching women at a bar saying, can I get you a drink? And it's the women who are the ultimate selectors that go, okay. It's men getting down on one knee saying, will you marry me?
Yeah, that's exactly right, which is why men are allowed to have preferences towards the women that they're going to be spending the rest of their lives with.
And women going, okay. Women are the ultimate choosers in our society.
Woman, just because you get to choose who you want to pork does not make you the ultimate chooser. Here's why. You may choose who gets into the bedroom, but the man gets to choose whom he gets to share his resources. And the fact of the matter is, he is the one who determines whether or not he wants you in his life. We see this all the time. You may want Chad, you may want him to wipe you up, but he is the ultimate decider in whether or not he wants to be with you. If he doesn't want to be with you, you aren't getting with him. How are you not getting this?
I'm not saying 100%, no one get upset, but
No, you're saying 100%. You said that women are the choosers when it comes to porking, whereas men apparently don't get to do anything besides propose. I mean, you are not speaking in generalities here. You are speaking in declarative statements.
But the majority of the time, if I said Stacy and Clint got engaged last week, who do you think proposed to who?
Exactly. The man proposed to her because he chose her.
The man probably proposed, right? That is Western culture. Even if we just boil this down to just sex, the most average looking woman can go into a bar usually and find a man to have sexual relations with.
What's your point?
An average looking man is gonna have to struggle to find sexual relations because women are the ultimate selectors.
No, that's not the flex you think it is, woman. It's what you're saying is nothing to be proud of.
Women are the choosier ones. So how does that factor back into our example? Since we know that women are the ones who are being the choosier ones, it's more natural on our ears to hear women being choosy. So that's why when we hear women say, oh, I don't date short guys, we're not like, we are wired and what?
Yeah, nobody is gasping. We know that you don't want short kings. We know that you don't want men who make less than 7 figures. We know this. You won't shut up about it. Nobody is shocked. Nobody is appalled. We're all just unsurprised at this point because you want the world handed to you on a silver platter, and yet you are willing to do nothing to earn it.
Western society to know that women are the ones with the expectations, the ones who make the decisions when it comes to choosing. And point number 2, women's feelings, the feminine, are the ones that get cherished.
And they really shouldn't be. You're allowed to feel the way you feel, but that doesn't make you superior to men. Men also have feelings, and men's feelings need to be validated. They're just as valid as yours, sister. And by saying that his preferences are hateful and yours are cherished, that is you just trying to gatekeep emotion. I'm sorry, but if you truly think that you're powerful, oh man, I know an intergalactic space guide who goes by the name of Pomnichar, all hail, who would want to pick a little bit of a bone with you and not the way that you think.
This might piss some people off, but just hang with me, guys. Whether you've chosen to believe this consciously or subconsciously, women's feelings are far more cherished than men's.
That's because you act like your feelings are the most important thing on the planet. You believe your feelings are so powerful that it can actually break the fibers of reality itself. Men could sit here all day and prove to you certain points beyond the shadow of a doubt using statistics, logic, and factual examples, and you will turn around and say, well, I feel like that's not true. And because you feel like it's not true, therefore, it doesn't exist. That is why you feel like your feelings are more valid than a man's. That's only if you acknowledge that men have feelings, because there's like a 60-40 chance that you won't anyways.
Men are far more respected than women.
Since when? Since when have men been more respected than women? You've literally just spent the last couple of minutes openly disrespecting men and telling people that their feelings don't matter nearly as much as yours. You get a free pass to disrespect men all you want. For the last couple of decades, modern women have been demanding that they're practically worshipped at the cost of a man's dignity. Men are not respected in today's society. If they were, then the world wouldn't be FedEx to hell by handcart right now. We would actually be in better shape than we currently find ourselves. But we're not, because your feelings and your assumptions will always take precedence over reality itself.
I'm not saying that men's feelings don't matter. And
You're pretty much saying that. You have not acknowledged men's emotions once. You are saying that women's emotions are the most important thing on the planet, which is to justify the fact that you don't want to date fat dudes.
I'm not saying that women aren't respected, but the feminine tends to be cherished and the masculine tends to be respected.
Correction. Chad's masculinity is respected. Everyone else is considered a toxic incel.
And we tend to link feminine with women and masculine with men, even though we know that that's not necessarily true.
Oh my God, you couldn't pass it up, could you? No, femininity is tied with women and masculinity is tied with men. There is nothing offensive about that.
And you probably already subconsciously think this. Just ask yourself,
Don't tell me how I think, devil woman.
if you saw a grown woman hysterically crying, what you would immediately think and do.
I would mind my own business and go about my day because whatever is bothering her does not concern me. And I'm not about to risk anything to see if she's okay. She is a strong and independent boss bay Yas queen who's just having a case of the weepies. I am not going to deny her moment of self-pity. I'm a gentleman. I know better.
I would immediately be like, are you all right, ma'am? Now think about it if you saw a grown man hysterically crying out in public.
You would laugh at him. Well, no, let me backtrack. That's not necessarily true. You would grab your phone and video him hysterically crying, and then you would laugh at him while posting it on TikToks in hopes of it becoming viral. That's what you'd do.
I'm gonna be honest, I would personally stay away from him.
Liar, liar, liar.
A lot of the times we are pre-programmed to care more about women's feelings than we are men's.
So if that's the case, wouldn't it mean that men's preferences would be perfectly valid? Because you're saying that you're programmed to care more about one over the other. So if that's the case, wouldn't you want to make more of an effort to understand a man's feelings? Of course not. That requires you to do work, and work hurts your feelings.
Men, before you have a tantrum, think about this perspective.
Before you have a tantrum, woman, you're the one who will actually throw a rage party if somebody insults your shoes. Most of us are just listening to this just completely baffled over the fact that what you think makes any type of sense whatsoever. You're treating men like children when you're the one who's acting like an annoying, spoiled little princess because your feelings are the only ones that matter, apparently.
If it were the zombie apocalypse and it was me and you, the man, and we had a group of people and you were like, everyone follow me. And I was like, no, everyone follow me. Who do you think people are gonna follow?
Lady, judging from the fact that we only see you from the neck up, we all know that you do not have the cardiovascular capacity to survive any form of apocalypse, including zombie. Even though you finally would be contributing to society by providing something with a warm meal for once.
Who do you think is going to be the respected one in that situation, right? Most people are probably going to go with you, even though they don't know either of us. Because subconsciously in Western society, women tend to be more cherished and men tend to be more respected. And
you've already mentioned this like 6 dozen times. And every single one of your arguments is so profoundly flawed that a drunken hamster can debunk your arguments. Here's the thing, woman. Your argument only holds the minimum amount of water if what you're saying is true. Men are hardly being respected in the West, especially when disrespect is promoted so prevalently as it is right now. So your argument has already been destroyed using basic common sense. However, you have actually not used your points to actually prove why your preferences are okay, but if a man has a preference, then it's considered a slight against humanity.
all of this leads to this not being okay. Only a feminine man will hurt a bunch of women's feelings like this.
So you're okay with hurting men over height, which is something they can't control, but apparently when a man says, I am physically unattracted to women who are over 300 pounds, all of a sudden they're being hateful and they're trying to hurt your feelings, even though all you need to do is keep a fork out of your mouth for 6 months to see some improvement.
I think white girls are ugly. I'd never date a girl over 6 foot, or whatever men say, because they're not cherishing women's feelings.
And you're not even recognizing men's feelings. You just completely disregarded their preferences. You are coming at this from a place of hate. You're trying to make yourself look like a victim, but if you truly are a victim, why are you allowed to get away with saying such mean-spirited things? Huh? See that? Again, this is something a drunken gerbil knows.
And we are programmed to think that men, the respected ones, are cherishing women's feelings.
Well, we would if women had any feelings worth cherishing.
Women are not expected to really cherish the masculine feelings, which is why no one bats an eye when the woman says, oh, I don't like this type of man, because there's no real expectation for women to tiptoe around men's feelings and cherish their feelings.
Here's the thing, we're not talking about cherishing, we're talking about respect. Now, you say that men are supposed to be respected in the West. However, you are openly disrespecting men by using these incredibly baseless generalizations. It's a double standard within a double standard because apparently it's okay when you do it.
However, there are expectations that men cherish women's feelings.
Why should we cherish the feelings of a woman who's acting like a spoiled child?
Which is why this double standard exists.
No, the double standard exists is because nobody ever told you no as a child. The double standard exists because you were told that you're a special little princess. The double standard exists because you don't feel like you need to offer anything to a man, and that any man who wants you to offer something to him is such a foreign concept to you that you find it to be profoundly insulting. But the only one who's insulted here is us, sister.
And I'm not saying it's right.
No, you are saying it's right. That's exactly what you're doing. You have just spent the last 5 minutes ripping into men for having feelings. That is literally what you're saying, that this double standard is right and why you're allowed to have them, but men aren't. That's literally what you're saying.
I'm trying to explain to you why we have a gut reaction when men talk like this, and we don't really have a gut reaction when women talk like this.
Liar! 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 No, typically when men actually do hear the standards of women when it comes to this kind of stuff, most of us will actually just laugh our freaking heads off because it's so unrealistic. So allow me to propose this scenario to you. You've got a modern woman who's over 250 pounds living in a trailer with 2 kids and no husband in the middle of Alabama. And yet she goes online and says that she is entitled to a millionaire man with 6-pack abs and a 6-inch dong. You honestly think we are not having a gut reaction to that? Then, sister, you're more brain dead than I gave you credit for, and that is one of the saddest of stories.
And you might be thinking, well, I hear men on podcasts all the time bring this up and be like, this is ridiculous. Why can women talk like this? Remember, this is feminine and masculine.
No, this is not about feminine and masculine. This is about you not having to take accountability for your fifis. Even though I know you don't think there's a difference, there is.
And to go back to something that I said earlier, just because the feminine is associated with women and the masculine is associated with men, not all men are masculine and not all women are feminine.
Masculinity is being promoted in women while being demonized in men. And that's just another double standard. It's totally cool for a woman to be a masculine butch person, but if a man is masculine, he's considered a hateful bigot unless he carries the number of the beast. Then it's totally okay. But he has to have the 6-pack abs, the 6-inch dawn, and the 6-figure income.
So if you're hearing a man complain about a double standard like this, like, why can't I say this? That's probably a man in his feminine. I'd love to make this more of a series, so if you see videos where a man or a woman is complaining about something like this, a double standard, feel free to tag me in it so I can make a video.
Yeah, sure, go ahead, lady. Feel free to make another video. I could always use the extra content.